There's a cruel paradox in modern social interactions. You stand in the middle of a crowded networking event, you hold a glass in your hand. A stranger approaches. A hand reaches out. A polite smile is exchanged. They look you in the eye and say their name. 2 seconds later, your mind is a complete void. You nod. You pretend you heard it. You pretend you remember. But beneath that polite smile, a silent panic detonates. Your chest constricts tightly. Your breathing instantly becomes shallow. You feel completely incompetent. You desperately scramble through your recent memory to find those simple syllables. Nothing is there. It is just a terrifying blank space. The room is loud, but your internal world is completely frozen. You grip your glass tighter. Your palms begin to sweat. You nod along to their words, terrified they will ask you a question. You feel like a total imposter in your own life. You are physically present, but socially you are completely out of sync. You wonder if everyone else navigates these moments with such effortless grace. You endure the rest of the conversation with a racing heart. The physical exhaustion sets in rapidly. You smile and excuse yourself. You retreat to a quiet corner. You stand alone and let the heavy wave of guilt wash over you. You harshly judge your own character. You tell yourself that you are severely broken. You assume you are deeply flawed for failing at the most basic human connection. But what if this immediate memory wipe is not a failure of your character at all? The cruelest myth in modern pop psychology is that forgetting a name means you do not care about the person. Productivity gurus and self-help speakers will eagerly tell you that you are simply self-absorbed. They claim you are not paying enough attention to the social environment. They aggressively sell you endless memory tricks. They tell you to repeat the stranger's name 3 times in your head. They preach the exhausting gospel of forcing yourself to be outgoing. They tell you to fake it until you make it. But why do these confident advice columns only make you feel more exhausted? Why does trying to be socially perfect drain your nervous system so completely? The answer is that society places a harsh moral judgment on what is actually a neurological event. Society quickly labels you as a shy introvert or an arrogant snob. Society tells you to just try harder to fit into the extroverted ideal. This cultural perspective is completely distorted. You are not arrogant. You are not selfish. You are not failing at basic empathy. Forcing yourself to memorize auditory data under social pressure is a profound misunderstanding of human nature. The answer to your suddenly blank mind does not lie in your personality. It does not lie in your lack of social effort. This memory lapse is not a moral failing at all. It is pure borzology. But what exactly happens in your brain during that terrifying 2-second window? But your memory is not actually failing. Your brain is simply executing a ruthless prioritization protocol. When that stranger approaches and speaks, your brain is not trying to actively memorize a verbal label. It is aggressively analyzing the entire social dynamic. It instantly pushes raw auditory data aside to focus on deeper environmental cues. Why does this happen? The answer lies in a powerful cognitive structure known as the default mode network. In modern cognitive neuroscience, this is the complex neural system responsible for your core sense of self, your past memories, and your social evaluations. During a stressful introduction, this sophisticated network does not quietly shut down to let you focus on the conversation. Instead, it gets completely hijacked by your underlying social anxiety. This specific neurological mechanism explains the agonizing hours you experience long after the networking event. The party finally ends. You drive home in silence. You lie in bed staring at the dark ceiling. The physical room is quiet. But your brain does not rest. It immediately boots up the default mode network with intense force. It starts running an endless, exhausting loop of overthinking. It replays every single awkward silence you endured, analyzes every fleeting micro-expression of the stranger, and forces you to vividly relive the perceived social failure. In these lonely midnight hours, your mind transforms into a relentless machine. It functions as a harsh internal judge, actively searching for evidence to condemn your every move and word. You feel trapped in a cognitive prison of your own making. You mistakenly think you're consciously reflecting on the night to improve your future social skills. You are not. Your brain is simply caught in an automatic survival loop. It is desperately trying to solve a social puzzle that no longer exists in reality. It is dissecting the interaction solely to protect you from future social exile. This painful mental replay is a biological feature, not a personality flaw. So, if your memory is perfectly intact, what exactly triggered this intense neurological alarm in the first place? What causes this immediate data wipe when you meet someone new? To understand this invisible mechanism, we must look through the lens of the polyvagal theory. Developed by Dr. Stephen Porges, this framework explains how your autonomic nervous system continuously scans your environment for safety or danger without your conscious awareness. This profound subconscious process is called neurocuption. As you stand in that crowded networking room, your biological system is not prioritizing casual conversation or building relationships. It is conducting a rapid and intense threat assessment. You recall the racing heart and the sweaty palms from our earlier observation. These physical reactions are not signs of social incompetence. They are the exact physiological markers of your sympathetic nervous system forcefully taking control. You have been involuntarily pushed out of the calm, socially engaging ventral vagal state. You are now deeply trapped in a primal fight or flight response. Your body genuinely perceives the social pressure, the unfamiliar faces, and the demanding expectation of small talk as a literal threat to your very survival. It does not matter that you are just at a corporate mixer holding a glass of wine. Your ancient nervous system cannot easily tell the difference between a judgmental stranger and a dangerous predator. It sounds a massive false of alarm throughout your entire body. In this heightened state of biological arousal, your cognitive resources are instantly and ruthlessly reallocated. Your brain violently shuts down the higher cortical areas responsible for processing and storing new auditory details. It rapidly redirects all available energy to your muscles, your peripheral vision, and your spatial awareness. It is actively scanning their posture, the micro shifts in their eye contact, and the physical distance between you two. The stranger's spoken name is simply categorized as useless background noise. Why would your brain waste precious neurological energy memorizing a verbal label when it firmly believes you are about to be attacked? Your nervous system does not care about preserving your fragile social reputation. It only cares about keeping you alive in that exact second. You are not a coward for freezing up during a simple introduction. Your body is just aggressively trying to protect you from perceived harm. But what if this overwhelming social sensitivity is not a biological error at all? What if this intense reaction is not a sign of weakness, but a profound evolutionary heritage? Evolutionary psychology offers a radical and liberating shift in our perspective. Your social anxiety is not a structural defect in your brain. It is a highly refined, fiercely protective survival tool. Let us travel back thousands of years into human history. The ancient environment was incredibly hostile and unpredictable. The individuals who survived and passed on their genes were not the relaxed, carefree extroverts of the tribe. The true survivors were the hypervigilant ones. They were the chronic overthinkers. They were the individuals who constantly scanned the horizon for unseen danger. They were the ones who could instantly read the subtle, shifting micro-expressions of a rival tribe member. In the brutal wilderness, knowing the exact verbal name of a predator or a stranger does not save your life. Recognizing the slight tension in their jaw or the sudden shift in their posture absolutely does. That profound HY sensitivity was the greatest survival advantage a human could possibly possess. You carry those exact same triumphant genetics within you today. You are directly descended from the most observant and cautious ancestors of humanity. You are the sentinel of your modern tribe. Your autonomic nervous system is functioning perfectly. It is simply chronologically misplaced. It is aggressively applying ancient wilderness survival tactics to a modern corporate cocktail party. Your ancient brain is treating a casual networking event like a life or death combat scenario. This profound realization changes everything about your identity. You do not have a broken or inadequate brain. You have a highly protective superpower that is currently just overwhelmed by artificial modern social noise. But if your biological body is simply trying its hardest to protect you, how do you safely communicate with it? How do you turn off this ancient biological alarm without endlessly arguing with your own mind? But you cannot think your way out of a biological survival alarm. You cannot use an anxious mind to successfully fix an anxious mind. The higher cognitive areas of your brain are already completely offline. When you forget a name and the internal panic immediately sets in, stop trying to mentally force the memory. Do not argue with your own brain. Instead, you must rely on somatic regulation. Shift your frantic attention away from your racing thoughts and gently bring it directly down into your physical body. Feel the actual heavy weight of your feet pressing firmly against the solid floor. This simple act of grounding sends a powerful, undeniable signal of security upward to your ancient brain. Notice the physical sensation of the handshake, the slight tension holding your own shoulders up, and the steady rhythm of your breath. Take one slow, deep, deliberate inhalation. Let the air fill your lungs completely and release it slowly. By focusing entirely on these microphysical sensations, you bypass the panic cognitive loops completely. You are actively utilizing bottom-up processing to gently turn off the alarm. You are directly speaking the primal language of your autonomic nervous system, explicitly telling it that there is no physical predator in this room. You are quietly co-regulating with your own internal state. You are actively, compassionately guiding your biology back into the calm, socially connected, ventral vagal state. You do not need to memorize a verbal label in this exact moment. You just need to physically anchor your nervous system. In this grounded physical space, your body finally realizes it is completely safe. But once the biological alarm stops ringing, what do you do with the cultural expectation of being a flawless communicator? You must completely deconstruct the cultural narrative that demands constant social perfection. The Western ideal of the endlessly charismatic, flawless networker is a modern, exhausting illusion. You are not rude, incompetent, or socially broken when you instantly forget a stranger's name. You are simply a highly sophisticated organism that is deeply attuned to nonverbal communication. Your ancient nervous system actively prioritizes reading a human soul over simply memorizing a verbal label. According to the psychological framework of narrative identity, you construct your reality through the stories you tell yourself. It is time to entirely rewrite your core narrative identity. You do not need to constantly repair yourself to fit into a superficial social mold. You do not need another memory trick. You only need to surrender the exhausting daily act of pretending to be someone else. True psychological maturity requires the radical acceptance of your authentic, highly sensitive self. You must explicitly give yourself the profound permission to be gracefully imperfect. You do not exist on this earth merely to perform flawlessly in every brief social interaction. Your inherent human value is absolutely not determined by your short-term auditory memory capacity. When you finally let go of this crushing performance anxiety, you step into a profound state of innenfrivedom. You stop rigidly acting and you start simply being. You allow yourself to be entirely human. But what exactly happens when you finally stop fighting your own brilliant protective biology? The next time you find yourself standing in the middle of a loud and crowded room, do not panic. When a stranger approaches and their spoken name instantly vanishes from your mind, simply smile. Smile gently at your own magnificent nervous system. It is doing exactly what it was perfectly designed to do for thousands of years. A name is merely a superficial social label. While your conscious mind is anxiously worrying about forgotten word, your deep biological system is busy reading their very soul. You are actually paying the most profound kind of human attention possible. This quiet realization is the beginning of a radical psychological awakening. You no longer have to fight those invisible, exhausting battles in your own mind. The painful cycle of midnight overthinking finally reaches a complete and peaceful cessation. You now deeply understand that your profound sensitivity is not a curse, but a brilliant evolutionary shield. True healing is not about aggressively fixing a broken brain. It is about compassionately understanding the flawless biological machinery that is already working inside you. Deep self-understanding is the ultimate form of inner freedom. You can finally stop running from your own protective biology. You can breathe deeply into your physical body, knowing that your internal sentinel is always standing guard. Let the noisy room fade entirely into the background. You are inherently worthy of human connection, even when your short-term memory goes completely blank. You do not need to perform. You are always safe.